Now Liz is in charge of all that. Anybody want to see Athena and Adonis, my new grand twins?
That's not their real name.
They have joined Hercules.
That's...
We have a Greek mythological society in our family now. Yeah. 10 days ago. Yeah. They're just getting back up to their birth weight. So they're both getting closer to 6 pounds. How's this? My daughter got on the scale at our house yesterday because she doesn't have a scale. Since she got pregnant, since she got pregnant, she's lost 40 pounds. For now having the babies. So she didn't gain like 75 and then lose 40. She's lost 40 pounds.
Oh, in total?
In total. She's 40 pounds less today than she was when she got pregnant.
That's crazy.
And she lost 10 pounds during a twins pregnancy. Isn't that craziness? They ate her alive. Yeah, she had 11 pounds worth of babies, and she lost 10 pounds.
Those are good math.
So if you ever want a weight loss plan, have twins.
Have a twin.
All right, let's do this. Jeff, we're getting a little late getting on the road here. Mark's a busy man. He's got a store to open. You ready?
I am so ready.
All right.
Good morning,
Let's
everybody.
Take out your oxygen for a minute. Chef Thierry has got a little pulmonary issue, so he wears oxygen outside of the show time.
I'm waiting.
I think it's cute on you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You think I should keep it afterward?
Yeah,
Even
I think you should put
lungs?
like a grapefruit mist in there, and so you have like grapefruit oxygen. Have your own air bar.
I like jasmine.
Jasmine.
Nice little smell.
Welcome, YouTubers. Nice to see you.
Good morning, YouTubers.
If you are here on a tryst, you might want to be careful because you'll be discovered on YouTube. Terry and I have a tryst every Thursday morning, and our wives
and everybody knows
our
about
wives
it.
are okay with it.
Yes.
Well, mine is okay with it.
That's not really.
Yours has up
really
and down
a
on
tryst.
me. Yeah.
We just celebrated our 37-year anniversary yesterday.
Nice.
So
She's a good woman, that one.
she's a good. She's a keeper.
Kathy, she's a keeper. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio. We're so excited to be here today. Coming to you live from the Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle, the beautiful cooking studios of the Hot Stove Society Culinary School.
Most magnificent place to come and learn something to cook.
I know, it's super fun. You can always come get on a class. You can rent us out for a corporate event. We do all sorts of cool stuff. Catering. We're just in it. We're in it to win it.
Oh, you can come here every Thursday morning and watch two funny guys do a radio show.
Yeah, exactly. We do that on Thursdays from 9 to 11. You can also see us on YouTube. If you go to the Tom Douglas & Co. channel, you can find us, find the show. And if you miss it, you can watch us from a year ago if you wanted to.
It's really worth it.
Yes. That's because Sean, our technical director, is so hot on the project. We invite you to join us for breakfast. Right now, our guests are enjoying a lovely blueberry muffin with Annie, where'd you get the blueberries from? Charlie's Produce blueberry muffin. And we are celebrating some classes that are coming up. I'm doing a salmon class here on August 25th. We're going to break down every two people get their own salmon, like a 3 or 4 pound salmon. And we're going to fillet it, and then we're going to make different pieces, different ideas from the salmon.
That should be a very fun class to be.
It's going to be fun. We also have a Southern Summer class coming up on August 19th, making summer cocktails from the South and a fresh summer pasta sauces on August 22nd. You know, a lot of times it's funny to come to a place with all these stoves and start to cook. In the summertime, a lot of times you don't have to cook, right?
That's right. Don't turn it
Raw
on.
tomato sauce, fresh corn just shucked right off the cob. Let some vinegars or let some citric acid do your cooking for you.
And some fresh herb puree,
Fresh
or
herbs, yeah, exactly.
like some salsa
So-
verde or stuff like that.
Today on the show, we're very excited up in our neighborhood, up in Crown Hill, Blue Ridge, Loyal Heights, North Ballard, whatever you want to call that area. There's a new metropolitan market opening to join. We shop at the Ballard Market, at QFC down there on Holman Road, the Shoreline Central Market, which is now called Town and Country, right? Ballard Market's Town and Country. But now a new one into the mix. The Met Market is coming, and my pal Mark Takagi, who I first worked with in 1980 at McCormick's Restaurant in downtown Seattle.
Wow.
He's going to come in and talk about what it takes to open a modern grocery store. You know, it's not like the AMP that we used to go to as a kid, right? They're literally food courts on steroids.
It's a lot more complicated than it used to be, for
Yeah,
sure.
different things that you need to offer to modern grocery. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Julia Child's birthday celebration. We're going to talk about, our birthday event here on the 15th of August. I want to say it's the 15th. Sold out in 2 days, 125 people. But I kept 2 tickets aside to give away today on the show in our Julia Child segment. So looking forward to that. 2 lucky people
That
will
is so
get
nice
into
of
a
you,
sold-out
Tom.
event. I know. You do the best, Julia, because you have that little bit of a fake accent, that little
Yeah.
fake French accent that you
Oh, I
have.
love my poulet.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little tomatillo. Our friend, our neighbor over at Prosser Farm, Mr. Garcia. I was walking the perimeter of our farm and looked over the fence, and there's this mound of green that's happening in his. I looked over, and sure enough, it was a huge mound of tomatillos. They're so easy to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't think people use them very much. And they make great salsas, great sauces. They're just a product that is perfect this time of year. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to utilize
Definitely good time. to
Mr.
put-
Garcia's
put them away.
tomatillos. We just kind of reached through the fence just a little bit.
I'm sure some go over the fence too.
Our Charlie's Produce Partners Cultivation of Fresh segment. We're going to talk tomatillos and tomatoes today. It's that time of year. Julia's stories with Tom and Thierry. I'm sure you have quite a few, Chef.
Oh, yes, I have a few, and
Yeah. We're going to
she'll never go away from her memory. I mean, she's an
she's
impact. in life.
dynamic. She's high impact, absolutely. And we're going to have a dedicated on our trivia today, a dedicated Julia question. So you better be up to snuff on some Julia facts. Is all I got to say.
Well, we're
about
going to
that.
need
We're going to need some
help
participants
from the
for that.
assistants
Hmm.
from
I see
these
some
wonderful
victims.
people here.
I see some victims of Terry's and my prowess at trivia sitting in our very own audience. Except, I don't play anymore since Pam left us for the Pike Place Market Senior Center and Food Bank. I've been giving the questions. So
We're going to have
it
to
turns
change
out when
that.
you don't play, you win every time because you can see the answers. Taste of the week, Chef. What do you think?
I think Lark Restaurant went
Uh-huh.
to visit last night for our anniversary, as I said. I would love to see more people in that restaurant to go visit because they're surrounded by very street work and various street work, Madison redoing and all that. And it's definitely looking very painful in terms of access. And it's too bad because it's a beautiful restaurant. The food is delicious.
Mhm.
The atmosphere is fantastic. Great dining little experience. And everything was delicious on par. And so I just would encourage everybody to make a stop and go to Lark. Only because John has been around for a very long time and Kelly over there, and they're doing a great job. And I think they just need to be remembered. They're just like everybody else. You get older
I
and
know.
you're
I
on the
know.
back shelf, and people, they need to dust the front to be able to get to the back of the
When
shelf.
was the last time you saw an article in the Seattle Times about 10 old restaurants?
That
It's
doesn't-
always the 10 hottest new
Yeah,
restaurants.
of course.
And we certainly benefited from that when we first
Of
opened.
course, of
And
course.
that's just the nature of dining, restaurant dining, because it's a very showy, it's almost like theater kind of business, right? So
right.
the hot new show or a hot new restaurant is what gets the attention sometimes. So,
But well attended food, delicious, well seasoned, perfect.
there's another one up there in that area that I love, Tamara Murphy's
Oh, yeah,
place,
Tamara,
Terra Plata.
Same thing. She's been
it's-
around for a long time, and
Yeah, that's a
doing
delicious
fabulous
restaurant
job.
too. Yeah.
And the Harvest Vine, all those places have been around for 25, 30 years, and
Uh-huh.
they're still doing great. So go take one of your old favorite and remember what they are and go visit them, because I think those need a little help too right now.
My taste of the week is my wife Jackie is a huge fan of a guilty pleasure of ice cream sandwiches, and so she has been working on around the different grocery stores, like whether it's Met Market or Whole Foods. Like Whole Foods has a house brand 365 ice cream sandwich. She brought one from the Aldine Bakery or Aldine Creamery yesterday, which had a crispier cookie and a nice vanilla ice cream, but the ice cream was a little bit too chalky for me.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so she's been trying these ice cream sandwiches because she's just a fiend for them.
She's a good baker. She's not trying to make it herself.
It's sometimes you just got to go for it. I know you don't understand this. It's not in your culture, but trashy food is good sometimes. You just got to go for it. Yeah.
No, of course.
Yeah. First you have the barbecue potato chips, and then you have an ice cream sandwich. It's okay.
You know what? Yes, as long as you keep
anyway,
walking.
It turns out her favorite is the 365 from Whole Foods.
Oh wow.
Brand. It's like their house brand.
Sure.
So just in case you're an ice cream sandwich nut, you got to go out there and try
What
it
about
for
you?
yourself.
Did you think that was worth it?
I eat them before they even melt. She sits there and waits for them to get the perfect texture.
Oh yeah, I would be more like that too.
She's like you.
She's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Your wife
So
is always
I just
right.
eat
Anyway.
them. They're so frozen solid. I couldn't taste them anyway. So, all right, that's our first
That
open.
sounds typical.
It does. Mark Takagi is going to join us now from the Metropolitan Market to talk about his new Crown Hill store on Cairo Radio, 97.3 FM. Uh-oh, I'm 7 minutes late from what I told you, Mark. I'm sorry.
He's not on the payroll.
No. Here's to Mark Rogers. I don't think I've seen you since he went. Did you ever work with Mark? After you. I worked with him mostly when he was down with Kenny at El Bocolino.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, he worked for us at Boco.
Who's Mark Roger? That sounds familiar.
It's just an old waiter pal that passed in the last year or so.
Oh.
Had some health issues.
That's common.
His were a little different than yours. His were heart related. Okay. You guys get the gist of the show so far? You feeling good? Yeah? Are we a disappointment? Are we meeting expectations? You're loving it so far. Do we sound like we do on the air? Yeah. Yes. Some lady, I was in the produce department asking the produce guy a question at the Ballard Market the other day, and the lady says, I recognize that voice. And she just came right up, and then, the first thing people do to me in the grocery store is they look in my cart. See if I have anything trashy in there.
And of course you do.
Normally, I always do depletion of my own product, so a jar of ancho sauce or whatever. Okay. We're back in the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo Radio. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're having fun in your garden or your kitchen or your car or wherever you happen to be. I'm thinking about putting a burner in my car, like a little butane burner, because I got stuck in a 2-hour traffic jam on I-90 coming back from the farm the other day. It would have been nice to have a little cooking equipment. Just saying. We had all the produce from the farm in the back. I was ready to go. A little olive oil. Mark is here from Metropolitan Markets. Mark and I worked together at McCormick's Restaurant in 1980 or so when I was selling wine and cooking on the line at McCormick's. I was selling wine for Diversified Wine Imports at the time. Wow. And Mark was the hound dog on the floor, just working with punk rock and the whole crew that was at McCormick's at that time. So welcome. Old. Now they're all old. Now we are all old. Come right up to that mic, Mark.
All right.
Okay, so you're opening a new Metropolitan Market. You guys are kind of the gold standard of fancy markets around this town. And I was thinking the other day, I've been driving by it for a year now under construction. And I was thinking about, God, the difference of opening a market today compared to an old Safeway days, or old QFC or even the old Met Market. You guys kind of started the trend, but it's like opening a food court anymore rather than just a grocery store. How do you manage all the different facets? I know you're just in one part of it, but you talk to the team.
Well, just staying ahead of the game. I mean, the trends are just incredible. They're happening fast, just like the
Yes.
whole world is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are so reliant on people like you and restaurants to
Mhm.
set those trends.
Mhm.
And our guests are the same people who visit the restaurant business. And
Right.
so we're keeping a keen eye to what's going on in the restaurant business, whether it's food, regional, wines, you name it. It's all happens there first.
Uh-huh.
So that's important. And just listening to our guests and what they really want. They vote by what they buy.
Right, for
and
sure.
So we can't force habits, and especially as the mainstay of our guest base are aging.
Mhm.
We need to envelop all the new younger people that are, it's different. I mean, you've got younger people in your family, and they're different than we are. So
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're very different for sure. Different habits.
Well, when I was growing up, center of the grocery store was a more important place than it is today. Now it seems like the outside ring of the grocery store, which is fresh produce and meat, fish, and then oftentimes fancy cookware products or things like that, are really the mainstay, not only for the customers but for your margins too.
yeah, no
It's
doubt.
It's also easier to put the fridge on the outside. I think that's a physical, logical place to put the refrigeration on the outside.
Yeah, all the perimeter is,
With on the perimeter towards the back, and because it makes more sense to me.
and it's all highly usable items on the perimeters. Whether,
Right,
like you say,
right.
produce, food service, you name it, it's all on
Mhm.
the perimeter, because that's center store is just what it is.
Right. We always say if you're making crab cakes tonight, don't go down to the center of the store to the canned crab aisle. If you
Yeah,
can't find fresh
that's
crab,
right.
don't make crab cakes. Tell us about what's happening in metropolitan markets today. When we have chats on the show or favorite taste of the week or something, half the time Terry is talking about something that he picked up at the Met Market on Mercer Island. Tell us about staying on grocery trends. And you brought a box of one of my favorite times of
Oh,
the
yeah.
year at the Met Market is Peach-O-Rama time.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's important for most consumers quality, and also regionality, provenance of a product. They want to know all of that, and so staying on board there is really where we have to hang our hat. I mean, we are not a national chain that can be make decisions out of somewhere outside of our area. We're listening to our guests.
Yeah,
And,
you guys do a very good job at bringing the local product out. You do a very very terrific job at that. And right now, like you said, it's the peach, but before the peach, you had the strawberries, you had the cherries, you had so many different levels, the blueberry. So it's very cool to watch all the different time of the month or throughout the summer to see all the different farmers and different part of Washington that shows up.
I think being local and being nimble is really the secret. And
Right.
we can work with our growers, like the peaches, as we all know, it's been kind of 20 plus years we've been doing this.
Right.
They're picked at, high sugar bricks levels and hand packed in the fields in one layer.
I remember the first time that Rowley walked into Grover's kitchen.
John
with a-
Raleigh.
John Rowley with a peach and a
refractometer.
refractometer. And he's like, did you see this? These peaches, they're like 17 bricks. And I was like, 17 bricks? That's super high. I'm like,
It's like simple syrup.
I know. It's like, and then I tried the peach. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It brings
remember.
back childhood memories, the juice
Yeah.
running down your face,
Of
course.
because you're
Yeah.
eating it, not these dry, pithy,
Yeah,
but-
this is very special to be able to in today's life in an urban setting to get a peach that perfect or that close to perfection, like almost falling off the tree. That's very, very hard to do.
it's an experience. And I
course.
think we're all living these days for
Yeah.
experiences anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to live in the middle of a downtown of Seattle, experiencing what the guy sitting in Yakima is having in his field. I'm like, well, that's great, but something's gonna give. So Met Market goes over there, pick it up, bring it. And
Yep. Yeah.
So what is your particular job at what part of the store do you cover?
Well, these days I'm wine, beer, and spirits category manager. So focusing on the adult beverages, if you
Right.
will.
Which is what I just poured in my glass here. You brought with you
What is
some
that?
Pecho Rama barrel-aged sour ale.
I'm glad there is the word sour in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely sour.
We work with Urban Family Brewery, and that they kind of specialize in barrel sour ales. So actually made with our peaches from last year. This is our third year of working with them.
Uh-huh.
And so we bring them down a pallet of our peaches, usually in the fall. We usually go with a later harvest peach, and they make it for us and barrel age it and then bottle condition it. So this started a year ago, and so now it just was released. So very limited time. So
Awesome.
yeah,
This sounds like it would be good for my guts.
yeah.
I mean, it feels like
I
I'm
don't know if there's
drinking.
a-
I feel like I'm drinking
Drinking for your health,
kombucha. or
Hard kombucha.
something.
yeah.
Hard kombucha.
Yeah,
But this is definitely sour, and it's not for the faint of heart. Most people love sugar, so bring some honey.
Are there any a lot of our listeners live in the area where I live, up by the new store. Are there any things we can look forward to that are new, like little secret things that we should be aware of that are coming?
Well, we keep learning from our previous store openings, so we're always trying to introduce new concepts, and a lot has changed since the last couple of years since we opened our Gig Harbor store. As you know, things are mentioned happening at light speed, so there's going to be some interesting new concepts, like we're going to make to order salads instead of salad bar.
Right.
There's just some different things that the world changed, so we're adapting to the shopper's needs.
Yeah. So excited to have you.
Yeah.
The last week when during the Charlie segment, we talked about all the hatch chili roastings that are happening at I think it's the Mercer Island.
Yeah, Mercer Island.
All the stores,
Getting a rotation of that.
Yeah.
So,
and we've worked those hatches into a lot of our cornbread and
Different
our
dishes.
sausages.
I know I've had the
things.
hatch brat.
Yeah.
Yeah, with cheese. So tasty. Trashy good, I like to say. That's my highest compliment, by the way.
Oh, good.
Trashy good. Yeah. Terry knows.
It is a very high compliment. I mean, from Tom, that's like, if you get the logo trashy good on your food, you're doing great.
All right.
Well, we've been talking with Mark Takagi, an old pal who I used to work with at McCormick's a million years ago. The good news is you are older than I am. I just had a birthday, and you're still older than I am. And look forward to the new store up there on Crown Hill,
85th and
85th and
50th
15th.
Northwest. Yeah, North.
And you just have to go. There's a Walgreens literally at the corner of 85th.
Right.
And there's a Safeway on the opposite corner of Walgreens. So just another 10 car lengths north on Holman Road there, where
Right.
15th turns into Holman, and you're at the Met Market. If you've gone to the grocery outlet, you've really gone too far. Is what I'm going to say about that. I don't want to trash the grocery outlet, but I'm just saying, go to the Met Market.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead. Up next, it's Julia Child's birthday. We're going to have a menu of so many delicious things in our walkabout. What do you call the walkabout for Julia?
I don't know.
I told you last week, and of course you didn't.
La
remember.
promenade.
La Promenade,
Yeah.
where we have different tastes of Julia. So we'll talk about that menu when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. All right, go load your shelves. Yeah, and
Thanks for the pitch.
yeah, thank you. You guys want to try the sour? Pour a little piece of it. It's very foamy, so open it to the side.
And it's a little bit sour.
We have about
Is there any alcohol in that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
an ale,
No, of course, but
typically 6%. That is not for me. I'm more of a Coors Light man.
I like how you're giving some to everybody. You go, that's not for me.
Well, I've never been much of a beer head.
You know what I like about the muffin today? It's more baked than usual, which is makes it even better.
Yeah.
Sticks to the paper, and I think it's perfectly baked.
It is today.
I think it's
Compared to
beautiful.
last week.
Yeah. Everything in moderation, especially moderation. No sharing. You have to drink your own. This is pain. This is pain. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of sour beer lovers out there.
There is. I am one of them.
Anybody in here a sour beer lover? Anybody, are you? When you go out, you'll order one, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. So 1 out of 10. That's good.
Are you, Sean? Sour beer man?
Was that sour? Was it sourer than you thought? Is it more sour than you thought?
I know you would think the peaches would like bring a little bit of sweetness to it, but they don't really. They must ferment that peach puree out.
Yeah, I think that's fermented and the sugar gets all burned out. Whew.
All right, here we are. It's the Hot Stove Society on Cairo Radio. Live, the audience has dug into their blueberry muffin, and now they're trying a little bit of Mark's Peach-O-Rama Sour Ale from, what did we say? It's right down by us, the brewery. Anyway, Urban Family.
Thank you.
So just lost it there for a second. Chef, you know that we have a Julia Child birthday celebration every year here at the Hot Stove. I put up the tickets maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. In 2 days, I mean, people love Julia.
Of
2
course.
days, the whole event was sold out, and it's a stroll about. And you call it a promenade, but there's another term for it, and I'm trying to think of it, but I'll get there. And a promenade, basically, we're going to set up stations around the hot stove, maybe 10 different food stations, and each station is going to have a little something coming out. My station is the duck with peaches, fresh peaches. Now we got for some free peaches.
Canard au pêche.
Canard au pêche. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Canard au pêche.
it doesn't sound right unless you do the Julia accent.
Canard au pêche.
So there's, if you look at the sheet that I handed you, we have a bunch of things on the menu, and I was hoping that you could help me explain to people in the French terminology what it is that we're having at our stations. So one of the stations is what? The first one.
The one is tomate et aubergine en persillade. So that means basically tomato, tomato and eggplant and persillade, which is just chopped parsley, garlic, shallots, fresh thyme, and put that all over the tomato and the aubergine.
With olive oil?
Olive oil. And that's usually a persillade. That's what a persillade is consist of.
It's just baked like that?
And then bake with a little breadcrumb usually. And then you bake the whole thing like this. And it's almost like a little vegetable gratin kind of idea. But it's light. It's very Provençal style.
Yeah, but it's light, but when I'm thinking French now, right?
Sure.
So it's going to be more cooked than what
Correct.
maybe we would think normally about it.
Especially classically.
Right?
Today, no as much. But yeah, in the old days, especially when Julia was teaching in the 60s and 70s, those dishes were baked all the way. They were.
So you're at 350 and you're baked for probably close to an hour, right?
Oh, yeah. Everything is like compote-like, it's like, but because of the breadcrumb that's on top and the persillade, it kind of stays together. So, once you put your spoon through it, after it's been cooling off after it came out of the oven, cooled off a little bit, then you put your spoon through it and put that on your
Take a
plate.
little helping.
So there is definitely, it's juicy because the tomatoes have rendered, and the eggplant have swallowed some of that. So they both are very soggy.
Right.
and the crustiness of the gratin on top, from the breadcrumb.
Fun.
And
All right, what's the next one?
the next one is champignon farci. So stuffed mushroom caps, basically stuffed. And this one is with breadcrumb, cheese, and herb. So it's same kind of concept with cheese added, grated cheese added to the mix of
To the
herbs,
breadcrumb mix,
of
right.
The breadcrumb.
But the mushrooms are dry roasted essentially compared
Correct.
to the aubergine that we kind of
Correct.
baked.
Correct. The mushroom cap are just as is, and usually a little bit of oil mixed with the whole thing, and put that into the mushroom, put in the oven, and then baked.
Fun.
Very simple.
All right, next one.
The next one is les tout nus. That means the all naked quenelle de bœuf provençal. So
The all naked?
yeah, the all naked, and I think that's a reference to the fact that it's not a sausage but the stuffing without the casing. That's why they call it naked.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some of this stuff, but I don't think our listeners might.
No, of
know.
course.
Yeah.
So the difference between a sausage and a patty, for example, is the fact that you don't have your casing. So in this case, it's the same idea. You use the stuffing, and they make quenelle out of it, which in this case going to be another baked item where all the fuss of the beef is going to be ground with some fat and put into a dish, and then probably a sauce of either. And I'm not sure what the sauce is on. Oh, it says Provençal, right?
Yeah.
So Provençal, that would be more tomatoes,
Herbs.
and everything. And then
Garlic.
the whole thing is baked.
Yeah.
So it's another, and then it says green. So it's probably
Epinard
épinard.
would be typical.
Épinard would be very classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or spinach.
Spinach, yeah. For those who don't know, épinard is spinach.
All right, next one.
Jalousie au fromage. So jalousie, it means jealous. So I don't know what that means exactly here. That I don't know. But it says peekaboo cheese tart. So peekaboo is obviously a cheese from Peekaboo Farm, right?
I don't think so. I think peekaboo means like it's peeking out of the tart.
Got it. I thought it was the name of the farm. I was like, that's cool. A farm named Peekaboo. That I didn't know. But the cheese tart is very classic. Again, pâte brisée. And then, cheese tart is usually onions and cheese. But depends on where you are, what part of France. In some part, it's just cheese. And it's, again, baked.
Yeah.
And,
the next one is, I think, one that Julia made famous around the country.
Oh, green beans almondine. Yeah. She made that very famous. And back in the old days, back to the old days kind of story, green beans back then were cooked to death.
Yeah.
I mean, they were blanched first, and then they were sauteed, and then they were, whatever.
Or then they were what my mother-in-law did, which was you open the can and then cook it for 5 hours.
Then you stamp on it. No, but in today's world, we used to make those all the time. And in today's world, you would do those either quickly blanched, like 1 minute in boiling water and then cool off, or you would just simply, if they were thin enough, just pan saute them as is, raw. And then once they have a nice searing around them, you just throw in the almond, lots of butter, almond, and chopped parsley, and then toss the whole thing around, salt, pepper, and
That's my favorite. Even if you put a lid on for a minute, but getting the water out of cooking vegetables is really, in my mind, very important because you're just washing out vitamins and flavor.
Right. And then squeeze a tiny bit of lemon on top at the last minute, toss the whole thing, and serve it.
But you should get a little toast on those almonds when you're sauteing. Yeah.
Absolutely. But the brown butter will do that, just like when you do trot almondine, when you do all that, putting the butter in the pan, when the pan is hot, makes the butter melt really fast, turn brown really fast. So once you put the thin sliced almond in there, they color very fast.
Yeah, you have to be careful. All right, next one.
Salad.
And by the way, all these things are different little stations here for her birthday promenade.
Right. Salade de moule. Now, that's a very, very interesting dish. You don't see that very often here. A mussel salad. Mussels that have been cooked, taken out of the shell, cooled off, and then made into a salad with olive oil and fresh herb. And I'm trying to think about what the classic way of what sauce would they use for that. You could use many different things, but one that comes to mind is ravigote. When you do fresh herb, a little lemon, and hard-boiled egg chopped into the sauce, and then you do that with the mussels, and you put the mussel back in the shell, put a little sauce ravigote on top, and serve that as an appetizer. It's a very delicious way to have a cold mussel. Again, that's not a common thing. We don't do that very often here. We usually do hot mussels, but that's a classic.
All right, next one.
Next one, I have to get it on my page. Let me see. Salmon on papillote. Now that's a classic as well. Salmon on papillote is basically a nice piece of salmon wrapped in parchment paper, and you can add this time of year usually basil, chives, fresh herb, tarragon. Put that into there, salt, pepper, and you can keep it as simple as that. Just a dash of white wine. Close the whole thing, put it in the oven, and bake it that way, and it comes out absolutely delicious. And it's a principle of the steam.
Right.
The Asian steam pot, basically. I mean, it's the same kind of principle, except that one is wrapped in parchment paper. Cooks extremely fast, keeps all the flavor in there, which is the beautiful thing about cooking in parchment, is when you open that parchment, it's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, like in a restaurant, they'll bring it out in the parchment and then take a
Correct.
pair of scissors while it's in front of you and pop that open with a pair of scissors.
Right.
And
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's where all the flavors at.
Next one we talked a little bit about. It's
Caneton au pêche. Caneton is a small duck and with peaches. I mean, it's supposed to be a roasted duck. So usually you roast the duck first until all the fat is rendered in the pan below, and then you finish with the peaches. And the peaches usually are done with a peach jam wrapped around the duck, and that completely
you
lost it.
lost it. Hey, Sean DeTore, could you fix that for me, please? So go back to the peach jam on the duck.
Where is it?
No. You were just talking about the duck dish and
Oh, yeah.
the peaches.
But what were you trying to show me?
I was trying to show you what I wanted you to go to next. We only had 1 minute left.
Oh, and what is it?
Croquembouche.
Got it. So anyway, put the peach jam right on top of the duck, bake it in the oven that way. And that was a good way to do a caneton au pêche. And of course, on the side of that is segments of peaches that you have caramelized a little bit, and you serve that, finish with a little red wine vinegar, and put that around the duck, which is basically sweet and sour peaches with duck.
Roast duck, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one is one of your favorites, I think, croquembouche.
Croquembouche is what I made my wife, and that's how I got her.
That's how you got her.
I made her croquembouche, and she was like, "Holy cow!" Croquembouche is when you make a bunch of you make patachou, which is a dough, a soft dough. You pipe them on a sheet pan. You bake it, and they become hollow a little bit on the inside. You stuff it with a pastry cream. You dunk them in a little caramel, and you mount them like a pyramid all together. It's pretty impressive when it's done. So of course, I made that for my wife, and she's my wife for 37 years.
37 years now, exactly. All right, there you go. That's the Julia Child Promenade. Since it's hard to find a ticket, you can live through the radio show. You can taste it through the radio show. Before the end of the show, we're going to give away 2 tickets to some lucky listener who might want to be able to come to our event with Julia because it's sold out, and this is the only way to get a couple of tickets.
And when is this?
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society show. Next up, Southern Summer, right here in the Hot Stove Kitchens on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM. Well, that went a little over. Sorry. Figure that out. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you there.
No, it's okay. All good.
Yeah. Annie Elmore, at the mode. Come out wherever you are.
How's your
You
breakfast
guys
this
see my
morning?
mother's stove over here in the corner? Isn't that a beauty?
I need you want it on the mic.
2 broilers.
I know I can come in there.
I know you can. That's why I yelled it. That's my 9th sibling. My mother had 6 girls, 2 boys, and a stove.
And the stove was born before you.
1953.
Someone asked me today if it works, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it
Oh
works."
yeah, it works.
Yeah.
I don't have it hooked up, but yeah,
Yeah.
it worked for 70 years in her kitchen. I don't really have anywhere to hook it up to make it live in here, nor do I want to clean it like I did my whole life. That was my job.
You want to do it again?
No, it's in perfect condition right now. I like the way it looks.
But it's ready to hook up if you ever want to do
It
it.
is. No, it's just
Yeah.
a little gas hose. And... All right, this is hour one, segment 4, last segment of the first hour. Almost getting caught up here. I talked a little bit about my salmon class, so we're going to go as long as you want on yours, about what you're cooking and making and all that sort of thing, and then we'll go into my. You're not prepared?
Let me grab my phone.
Oh my God!
That's how
Right.
comfortable she
My whole
is.
life is spent waiting for Annie.
That's how comfortable she is. She shows up and doesn't even have a phone. How's breakfast? Good. Yeah, those little nice little spice to it, nice little kick. Very nice. Harvest vine. The harvest vine. 27 and Madison. Lark is on 11 and pretty much 11 and Madison. Well, it's not Madison, but it's a block from Madison, north. And what was the other one? I mentioned one more. We talked. Oh yeah, Terra Plata. Terra Plata is right. Melrose and on Melrose Place, between Pike and Pine.
Are you giving out restaurant recommendation?
Well, I just recommended 3.
Now I'm ready, and he's not.
Yeah, really, Tom. Really, Tom. She's ready now. So, geez.
Jeez.
Jeez. I had to go call the producers and tell them to delay the show a little bit.
So you call yourself?
Here we are. We're back here in the hot stove kitchen. We're having a good time today. Chef director here at Hot Stove, Annie Elmore, has jumped on the mic. She's got a big class coming up. We're very excited about Southern cooking
Yep.
and cocktails.
Oh yeah.
And Julie is going to do the cocktails.
Uh-huh.
Who's the feisty one? If you think Annie's feisty, wait till you get a hold of Julie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Julie's going to do the cocktails. They are quite the team here at the Hot Stove. Everyone loves them.
Oh yeah.
I go back and forth a little bit. You know, the only reason I go back and forth, Chef, is that Annie has a tendency when she walks by me to punch me.
Lightly tapped.
Lightly tap. To me, it feels like a punch. I'm a gentle soul.
Sure.
Yeah. But
Sure,
so it
yeah.
feels like
yeah.
a punch to me.
I see Chef Terry rolling his eyes.
Annie, tell me about your Southern class. It's on what day? It's on August. No, that's
19th.
mine. August 19th.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on a Saturday. This is our second one. We did the first one in July.
Uh-huh.
It was really great, and people were like, "When's your the second one coming out?" And then so we did a second one. When Julie and I did this class or thought of doing this class, we were drinking rosé, sparkling rosé out of the park while my kid was playing on the playground out there.
Nice. What a
Yeah.
good mother you are.
Yeah, I know. Number one, right?
Yeah.
Next to a elementary school. So we like,
Did you
okay.
at least have a brown paper bag over it, or did you have glassware out there?
I had it in my backpack, and we had a mason jar.
Okay.
So we came up with a July class and then August class. And then so we were hoping that I'll do one appetizer and then she would do a drink, so that way they have the drinks to
Too
Taste
much.
combo all the way
Yeah,
through. So what are you
exactly.
making?
So for this one, we're doing tassel ham hush puppies, sweet and salty maple butter, It's kind of like sweet and salty, you know, type.
So tasso is like a cayenne cured ham, right?
Yeah. And it's, you know, from New Orleans. So
Mhm.
this is more of a New Orleans inspired
Creole,
menu.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then buttermilk Cajun fried chicken. Julie loves red bean and rice. She
Uh-huh.
went there a few years ago and she couldn't stop talking about it. And she's like, I want beans and rice. I've never made it before, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, maybe that's
You-
one way to get people.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, I've never made a lot of things and it still turned out
Yeah.
good.
Well, buttermilk fried chicken is everyone's favorite. It
Oh,
seems like,
totally.
and
Yeah.
I love it too, but I love it too much. When I eat it, I tend to eat that one extra piece that I wasn't able to stop myself on, and then I feel sick afterwards.
I mean, yeah, that's what fried chicken does.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, you know, ham hock braised collard greens.
Mhm.
I think I'm going to steal your recipe from your book.
You should. You know, it's pretty decent.
I know. It's
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So,
it smoked?
yeah, smoked ham
Smoked
hock.
ham
Yeah.
hock, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best.
But
Yeah.
they're also braised. It's, you know, I make collard greens in lots of different ways,
Right.
and you can. People don't realize that you can also quick, if you like chiffonade them or something,
Right.
you can quick sear them. But there's, you know, there's a quality of silkiness when you braise them that I
Yeah.
think is really delicious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In that ham liquor,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Mhm. It takes away a little bit of that bitterness too, you know, from the smokiness from the ham.
If you're bitter sensitive in that way, you simply drop your greens into boiling water and pull them out, and then braise them in a
Oh,
different
yeah.
one. And that takes a lot of that bitterness away. So,
I mean, I love the bitterness.
yeah,
'Cause,
me too.
Yeah, we're bitter people.
Exactly.
That
I'm with you on
that
that.
explains a lot.
And then, of course, you got to have peach cobbler in
Mhm.
August. You know,
Mhm.
you can't make a menu without that. So, that and, you know, just vanilla whipped cream. Easy summer meal.
Uh-huh. So does your cobbler have a biscuit topping, or what are you using for your topping?
I'm definitely going to do a biscuit.
Okay.
I'm probably going to steal the Sears pie, Sears biscuit recipe
Uh-huh.
and put it on there.
You know, there's two in the bakery book. One is a fine crumb biscuit, and one is the more southern style that we used for serious biscuit when we had
Mhm.
our biscuit restaurant. So
I think I'm going to use that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. More tender. Yeah. And then Julie going to do pineapple sweet tea punch, a classic sazerac, and then, of course, a cobbler cocktail, which right now there's still some really good berries that we've been buying, and she just freeze it and then puree and turn it into the cocktail. Super delicious and a lot of labor, but worth it though.
yeah, it's people forget sometimes that all this fresh fruit can turn into a delicious evening beverage
Totally.
for adults.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time of year. I just did this a couple of days ago. I bought too many berries, and I just throw them in a pot, a little honey, bring it to
Yeah.
a boil, cook it for about 20 minutes, put it in the blender, puree
Yeah.
the whole thing, put it in the jar. I was
Yeah.
gonna bring it this morning, and I forgot it
Put
at
it
the
in a
front
jar.
door.
Tell me about that. Put it in a jar and what?
That's it. I did not can it, but I did extra than I did can. So I put it in the jar, put the lid on, put it in boiling water for about 12 minutes. Bingo bango. I got some wonderful berry coulis, or you could be a coulis, a spread, or whatever you want.
Mhm.
And this
Cocktail ingredient, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
this
So,
winter, you know, you make a nice little olive oil cake with some toasted pecan,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle you just cut the cake in half and you put that spread in there.
Mm.
It'd be tasting good.
The other thing you could do, I know you do this with your herbs sometimes, is make ice cubes out of them. And so
Oh yeah,
then you don't have to can them, and you have the perfect size
Correct.
portion that you need instead of trying to thaw a quart jar of it.
exactly. No, absolutely. Size it correctly so in your freezer, so when you take it out, you don't thaw out a gallon of something when you need 1 cup.
Mhm.
Try to think ahead about how you're going to use the product, and then it's better to have more small one than one big one than you need to use a small one from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The big one, I mean, the only way to do it and get a part out is you have to literally thaw, and then the outside thaws. You try and get that off, and
Right.
you refreeze, and it's just a mess.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that good.
Or you get smaller containers. Do it in more containers, smaller.
Absolutely.
Your class is on the 19th. So if
Yeah.
people want to buy a ticket, they go to hotstovesociety.com.
Yes.
And my class is on the 26th of August, my salmon class.
Yes.
And it's the same thing, hotstovesociety.com. And we're going to have a fish for everyone to fillet. Is that right?
Yeah. So
or every 2 people, something
oh
like
yeah,
that?
1 fish per 2 people.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, like one person can play one side, the other person can play the other side.
Are we going to have a first aid kit available?
Yeah, it's well stocked.
The
And very
paramedics
sharp knives.
paramedics will be outside. No,
We're gonna-
the paramedics will be at the bar.
We're going to teach everyone how to do a quick cure. Then after you do that quick cure, you can do a simple pear wood or peach wood chip smoke right in your wok. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to make salmon cracklings out of the skin,
Mhm.
which is, let's just say you're making a salmon niçoise salad like we are for Julia.
Mhm.
You can make a little crackling to garnish your niçoise salad. We're going to make a clear broth salmon curry, salmon head curry. So we're actually going to, if they come with heads on this time,
Yeah,
but if
we'll
the
see.
heads come, we're going to split the heads and make. You just do a simple little simmer. You don't even bring it to a boil, and make a clear salmon broth curry with fresh vegetables. I did that on the Iron Chef. That was one of my favorite dishes on our Iron Chef
It's
episode.
really good.
And we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We talked about doing a salt roasted filet too, right?
Yeah.
And when is
yeah.
your class, Tom?
Mine is the 26th of August. Are you coming, Chef?
I'm coming.
You can be my MC. You
Exactly.
can run the
Salmon
show.
forever.
Salmon forever. And of course, I like to update the Pebble Mine situation.
Yes.
Yep.
So far has been going in our favor. We appreciate that. All right, coming up in our second hour, talking tomatillos. Charlie's Produce is going to be, we're going to talk about tomatoes. It is tomato season. Julia Stories with Tom and Thierry. And of course, we're going to finish the show with our Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. Right here on the Hot Stove Society Show, Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you. So far, so good? Okay, it's halftime.
What's your favorite? The sausage is really good. The Spanish tortilla, which is potatoes, browned onions, and egg. The green stuff was charred, ruby charred. We cooked the stems separately so that they get plenty cooked. Then we put in the greens and saute those till they're done. And our seasoning on that is our fish taco spice, because that's got 4 mild chilies and lots of citrus powders in it, so that it brightens things without adding a bunch of salt. Good.
Those little chorizos are delicious.
Sean, can you look up when Sunset Supper is in the market?
Okay. Sunset supper. Don't forget. I need to cook. I don't cook much tomatillo. I need to cook tomatillo. I usually do it raw. Work that out. Get some tomatillos, tomatillo tarragon, and basil, and you know,
Not tarragon, I don't think, but Probably no reason why not. All right, you guys ready? You got a little halftime break there, intermission. Did you get to the bars in time to get a little double vodka?
Everybody did.
Did anyone finish their sour ale? You have to love sour ale to get through that. You like it? Yeah. Yeah. I got a little peach on the back of my palate, but not much. Oh, look at that. Bringing you a cup of coffee. What a guy. All right, Chef. Good job. Way to get us started. This audience needs motivation after that heavy breakfast that they just had.
That's right. They're all asleep. Look at that.
We've got a big hour to come up here. We're going to, of course, have our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. We've got Charlie's Produce to talk about tomatoes. We're at the height of the season, but there's some tricks about tomatoes that maybe we should all be aware of. We've got Julia's Stories. I know this is Julia-centric, but Terry and I are big fans.
Absolutely.
And we love her dearly. And it's her, I think, 111th birthday this month. So we're excited to actually share that with y'all. And we have 2 tickets to give away today. And we're going to announce the criteria to win the 2 free tickets to our Julia Promenade here shortly during that segment.
Cool. Can't wait.
During the story segment. And we're going to jump right into now tomatillos. So we were over at the farm. Jackie and I've been going to the farm more than I used to because of Sharon's gone now, and it's just more convenient to go over and keep up on the maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Like this last week, I was restaining, like sanding down and restaining all the barn doors, stuff like that.
Sure.
Chopping wood, all the things that Jackie has on her honey-do list, which is not a melon, by the way.
Yeah. It is a melon, but it is also a list.
So we're driving around. She loves when we get to the farm to get into one of the gators and do a gator about the perimeter of the farm because she likes to check in on. She acts like her plants are her children,
right?
So she checks in and she talks to them. Even though I'm sitting right next to her, she talks to the plants. She doesn't really talk to me so much, except do you see how pretty that is? Well, she'll blurt that out every 10 seconds. Anyway, so we were driving around the perimeter, and our neighbor down on the lower corner is Mr. Garcia, and he has a patch of his own corn and different things. But there was this huge green patch on the edge of his patch, and right by the fence line of our farm, and looked over, and I thought it was cherry tomatoes at first. And then I saw the little lantern quality of the fruit,
sure,
and it was a huge tomatillo plant. Just kind of, unlike Jackie, who's very pristine in her farming. She stakes up every tomato plant, and because we get some wind and that sort of thing. But anyway, most of the locals over there just throw seed in the ground and then let things go.
Right. It's a vine, so it would definitely go.
Yeah, and it went.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to tell when a tomatillo is ready for picking. I don't think they ripen in the same way that we might think a tomato ripens. They get a little bit golden, a little bit. But
they don't become soft. You don't wait till they're soft.
No, and you don't need to either.
No.
So anyway, that's besides the point. So we have the tomatillos. Mr. Garcia gave us a bag of tomatillos. I didn't have to steal them. And so I made my favorite, which is a roasted tomatillo salsa out of it, which is in my very first cookbook. We used to serve this on our black bean soup down at Cafe Sport,
right?
/ Edda's when Edda's opened. And you simply take the tomatillos, your onions, your whatever peppers you want, depending on how hot you want it, jalapenos, serranos, just pasillas, whatever. But I stay in the green pepper category for this particular thing. You can use red. It's not going to be an issue. Garlic, slice the onions, put the whole thing on a sheet pan tossed with a little bit of oil, put it on a sheet pan and roast it on high. And in that world, you just start to get the burnished edge or the brown boil or whatever it is that you're looking for on all those ingredients.
Mhm.
Pop them in the blender when they're done there with some lime juice and hit blend. And you have the most beautiful little roasted tomatillo
Salsa.
sauce or salsa, depending on how you want to use it, right?
Right.
If you're making chicken enchiladas, say, this is a beautiful sauce
Right.
to go over your enchiladas. If you're making chicken tacos, you can make a little salsa out of
Right.
it.
So it's delicious. What I like about tomatillo is the fact that it doesn't have the sweetness of a tomato.
Right, it
Which
brings
is-
acid to the
which is
table.
so nice to be able to marry very justifying a roast pork or something that has fat in it or something
Mhm.
that's rich. It's the perfect match. I mean, it's something that we don't do enough. I think most people don't do it enough in their cooking, is to match something that's fatty with something that's very acidic or very a completely opposite to that.
Right.
So you can match and you can actually have a dish that's much more balanced in the end. So it's not all sweet or all fat or all
Mhm.
one side. So that's what I like tomatillo.
We use that very same concept on our crab cakes at Cafe Sport for years and years and years. We would make our crab cakes, and so often if you go to a restaurant and they have crab cakes, you'll see they come with an aioli or something.
Right, right.
Well, crab cakes typically are bound with mayonnaise.
Right.
Typical. Not everyone.
Not mine, but yes.
Not yours, but yeah. So I don't like making a mayonnaise sauce to go on a crab cake that's bound with mayonnaise.
Correct.
And so that would include tartar sauce, anything like that. So for our crab cake cocktail sauce, and in a store, if you go for cocktail sauce, you find the red cocktail with horseradish and it's made out of ketchup essentially.
Ketchup, yeah.
So you just take raw tomatillos and you mince them, or you can put them in a food processor.
Right.
You get more juice if you put them in a food processor, so you have to drain it a little bit.
Correct.
If you mince them, they stay a little bit. The cell structure stays together.
Right.
And then I just make cocktail sauce: toasted mustard seed, a little green chili, fresh grated horseradish, lime juice, and salt and pepper, and you're done. And you've got a green cocktail sauce that, with that rich kind of mayonnaise-based crab cake,
Right.
is really bright.
It's a good match.
And it's a very good match, and it's a nice combination.
It'd be a nice a slaw dressing if you were doing a slaw, a nice julienne cabbages or whatever vegetable you're using for your slaw, and put that salsa in it.
Uh-huh.
That would be a good match to a nice like the fish taco, for example, or that you have at Eda's or whatever. That would be a good match to that too.
Yeah.
Because that goes well with fried food or anything of that, even grilled food. If you were grilling some salmon or whatever,
Yeah.
that'd be a very good match.
And
to
you can
that.
keep it on the Latino side of things, adding
Yeah.
cilantro, or you can, like, by making it a green cocktail sauce, I kind of took those tomatillos and made them more Americana style.
Right,
So,
right.
Anyway, super fun, a great little thing to see. I was just floored by how lush his tomatillo plant was and how much fun it was to get a bag of them.
So get to Pike Place Market.
Don't be scared of tomatillos. Just have that paper wrapper on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's one memory I have of Pike Place Market over the years, to go to Pike Place Market and buy tomatillos at Pike Place Market.
Mhm.
For some reason, that's something I remember. And especially when they have the farmers coming over this time of the year. I think it's Thursday, and I don't remember what day they're there, but with the tents on the street, on the cobble street, there's always a farmer that has tomatillos. So.
All right. When we come back, it's tomato season. Charlie's Produce, cultivating fresh tomatoes on Cairo Radio. Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I haven't found anything to do with the paper leaves yet, so they're pretty much compost.
You could wrap some small piece of fish, very small. That would be put a new meaning to mini. Bonjour, Amy. Bonjour.
Hi. I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Good.
Good. How are you?
I got your email address.
Oh no. Don't.
No, you're welcome. Congratulations on that. Ça va? Très bien. Faut me dire tu, faut pas me dire vous. Faut me dire tu, pas vous. Je comprends, mais ça va. Je suis pas le président. Merci. Et toi aussi.
Yeah, what he said.
I got a fresh compatriot there.
Saw this in the back.
Yes. The 1,272 type of tomato. If we get through those 3 pages, I'm going to be floored.
Mine's only 2.
Two. All right.
You know, if you go to any of your grocery stores around town, you'll often see a Charlie's Produce truck, or any restaurant, as a matter of fact, you'll often see a Charlie's Produce truck pull up sometime during your visit. They are all over the place. Charlie is a wonderful man, a great pillar of our community, wouldn't you say? He supports
Absolutely.
every cause, and we love being partners with them for this segment on the show. We're going to talk tomatoes today. I'm Tom Douglas.
I'm Thierry Rocher, the chef in the hat.
Chef, do you know how many types of tomatoes there are?
I don't think anybody knows because I think there is more than anybody can count.
I think you're right. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, tomato dinner. But there's so many kinds of tomatoes to look for. In the off season of tomatoes, I try not to buy tomatoes in the off season, but if I do, I tend to buy cherry tomatoes because I think they have the best flavor.
Correct.
So
That's the easiest one to mature, especially in the cold season.
right. And they're often hothouse grown and they are perfect.
Even now in Seattle, if you have a garden and you have only part exposed in the sun, the best tomato you're gonna have right now are those yellow one, sun drop or cherry tomatoes, small. Those are gonna be the best one right now. The big one are still a few days away from being ripened.
You're talking about Western Washington now,
Yeah,
because the big
Western
ones on
Washington.
the east side of the mountains
Oh, they've already
are
made
happening. Yeah,
already
they're not,
made hay
yeah,
over there.
they're not gone, but they are definitely in the middle of happening. Do you know if you want to store a tomato, you turn it upside down, so stem side down.
Right.
And if you want to ripen it, to a different ripeness level, you do the very same thing, but in a brown paper bag,
Correct.
fold it up so that the gases don't escape from the ripening tomato.
And if you add a banana to it, it goes very fast. One day.
One day. The other thing about tomatoes is that you don't want to refrigerate them.
Correct.
Because
Never.
why?
I don't really know
They
why. I
get-
just know it sucks when you take a tomato out of the fridge and you try to eat it. It's
There's
terrible,
one reason why,
terrible
Chef.
flavor.
Because it sucks.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't need to be a scientist to know that.
My favorite part about Terry learning English is that he knows more of the idioms than anything.
Oh yeah. Well, when you learn a language, in case you have
The idioms are fun to.
in case you've never learned another language, the first thing you learn is all the bad words.
Yeah.
And then you think you're really cool because you're like, those words, so you say it all the time, and people go, you should really not be saying this all the time. You're like, why?
So you don't want to refrigerate a tomato because it hinders the tomato flavor, coloration, and texture.
See,
The
like I
texture
said,
is what bothers me. I don't know how you change the flavor so much because it is what it is. It's
Well,
tomato. It's like you can't change the sugar content. Any of that.
the flavor is changed by the fact that you don't have the when it's at room temp, you have more floral, more nose to it. When it comes out of the fridge, it's dull as
Right.
can be.
Unless you bring it right back
And
up.
you do taste with your
But
nose.
the
first.
texture is what I noticed the most about refrigerated tomatoes.
Correct.
There's Eastern Washington growers. The season is getting started. Ag development is look for organic tomatoes. And the ones that are supplying Charlie right now out of California, Durst Organic Growers and Coke Farms out of, if you look for those brands out of California, those
Mhm.
are delicious. The Durst cherry tomatoes mostly found in retailers like the Vashon Thriftway, Ken's Market, Frank's in the Market, Met Markets, Red Barn and Puyallup, Harbor Greens Markets, and the Coke Farm Heirlooms. And cherry tomatoes are at Hagen's, QFC's, Ken's Market, Whole Foods, Central Co-op, as well as a lot of local restaurants in the region, like ours. You know, for the last 15 years, we've been growing our own tomatoes this time of year, but this year we're not. So we're out in the marketplace buying Charlie's heirloom tomatoes. It's super interesting. You know, some are, you know, they come in all colors and all sizes, right? And they're all tomatoes though, and they have such distinct different characteristics about
Oh,
them.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the tenderest are the yellow one. When you get a whole heirloom yellow tomato, those are the most tender one.
Uh-huh.
The brown one, reddish one are usually the hardest, toughest one. So it's nice when you do a salad to have a combination of the two, because now you have a different texture, but you also have a different flavor, because they do have different flavor. You know, they just, it's amazing to me. But it is an interesting, tomato is very interesting, because if you take 10 different tomatoes, you will have 10 different texture and flavor.
I had a tomato salad at Serious Pie out at Totem Lake the other night, coming back from the farm, and they had made a homemade buttermilk ricotta.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a delicious treat to have
Sure.
on top of the tomatoes. Just sliced tomatoes
Absolutely.
or wedged or however. And then this is the time when you really want to use your best olive oil, right? When you're
Absolutely.
not cooking the tomatoes, you're not cooking the dressing, anything. Now's the time to get out that $30 a pint or quart olive oil that has great fruitiness to it, and just be generous. Go for it. And then on top of that, now's the time to break out your fancy salt.
Absolutely.
I'm in love with
Finishing.
the Malden flake smoked salt. My wife doesn't care for it. I do. Either
I
one
like
works.
the Malden, but no, I don't do the smoke.
You don't
either.
do the smoked one, yeah. To me, it's like a burst of flavor when you get it on top of your tomato, and it really brings out that beautiful tomato flavor
Right.
from the tomato itself. So
Yeah, and in tomato right now to do a cold, we were talking about not turning the stove on. You know, next week it's supposed to be in the 90s here. This is when we're gonna be, oh my God, it's too hot. You know, those are the perfect day to take tomatoes and make a nice sauce, cold sauce for your fish, you're gonna be grilling barbecue outside. Turn on the barbecue, grill a piece of fish, and throw in that nice tomato sauce. Then you've been dicing the tomato, fresh basil, because you get tons of that in the garden, a little salt and olive oil. And then you just you leave that on the counter for about an hour before you do your fish. And it's going to start rendering all the liquid from the tomato. You're going to have all that very juicy sauce. And if there's too much juice, you can keep some of that juice and use that with a little bit of Dijon mustard and make a dressing for something else or for that dish as well. So it's many, many use out of a tomato.
and you can do the same thing on fresh pasta.
Same thing on fresh pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect time of year to just do this cold tomato sauce. So
And you can do the same thing in your blender, make a little fresh tomato
Yeah.
gazpacho, which I'm not the biggest fan of what I consider typical gazpacho that's not pureed.
Right.
It's chunky and it's just like, texturally, it's just not for me. And I don't usually have problems with textures, but I love that smooth, creamy nature of fresh pureed tomatoes that have
Sure.
some herbs in there that kind of bloom as you puree them. You know, you
yeah.
think about when you think about seeds and toasted like fennel seed.
Right.
When you crush it, it blooms in its aroma. Same thing with tarragon or rosemary. When you break it down, it really
Absolutely.
blooms its flavor.
and it's a good time to use your good olive oil and a good amount of it. You know, you blend that together.
Mhm.
It will be emulsified into your tomato soup or sauce or gazpacho, and that will bring a beautiful flavor added to your tomato. You make some little bread crostini or crouton, and then put that on top of your soup and go at it.
Well, you've been to Spain a few times. Penam tomquet, right? That
Yeah.
toasted baguette with just a fresh clove of garlic rubbed over it on the toasted edge, which it just takes a little bit of the garlic off of the clove, and then a fresh tomato rubbed right over top. And it is just
Simple and
magic.
as good as it gets.
It's magic. When you
No.
sit in a tapas bar in Barcelona
Yeah.
or on the Ramblas
Sure.
or wherever you happen to be in Spain, that is something you'll get every time.
Yeah.
And it's not always great. Just like anywhere, they
Just
have
like the tomato.
yeah,
Always
it's
great.
only as good as the tomato is
That's
and
right.
as the bread is, right? So
And a little piece of prosciutto right on top of that. Not prosciutto, the Spanish one,
the chorizo or the serrano,
the Serrano ham.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. If you're not hungry by now, I don't know when you will be.
Exactly. All right. You and I have an idol here in our world.
In the culinary world.
Yeah, who we lost, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago now,
Yes.
somewhere like that.
I think it seems to be always like 10 or 20.
Yeah.
So
So we're going to talk a little Julia Child stories when we come back here on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Ready, set?
sit.
Hello, hello, hello. We're back here in the kitchens, the lovely kitchens at the Hot Stove Society Show. We are in the middle of downtown Seattle at the Hotel Andra. Is within our grasp right here.
In the Tom Douglas neighborhood, we call it.
A little reminder, I know it's already sold out, but we're going to be at Sunset Supper on the 18th down on the cobblestones of the Pike Place Market, cooking along with 100 other vendors, restaurants, and stuff outside, outdoors. My favorite food event of the year because I just love being on the streets of the market.
It's like being in Paris.
It really is. It's really just it's a unique place here, not only in our country but certainly our city.
Right.
The Pike Place Market, and it's great to be on the cobblestones. I call them cobblestones. They're more like bricks, but I think of them as cobblestones.
They're more like
They are bricks.
They're bricks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they feel like cobblestone.
Yes, exactly. And when hand trucks or any sort of cart goes over the top, they sound like it too.
And this event supports the Pike Place Foundation,
it does.
Market Foundation, which is very important. People don't realize it's a whole city down there.
It's a whole neighborhood, honestly.
whole
Rich,
neighborhood
poor, seniors, youngsters.
Thousands of people, live out of that whole area.
That's why I'm so
Rich,
proud of our
poor.
producer, Pamela, who went down to be
Sure.
executive director at the Pike Place Senior Center and Food Bank. We missed her dearly here, but she is doing the good work down
So even
there.
if you can't make it to the event,
Send her a check.
Send her a check.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
Julia stories. We had teased that our good. I don't want to make more out of our friendship than what we had. We had a professional friendship like Julia's had with thousands of people, and
Of
that's
course.
how I'm sure she felt about me. But it wasn't like I went to her house and hung out,
Right.
But I was moved of the first time that I made it to Washington, D.C. to the Smithsonian and to see that they had taken her whole kitchen from Cambridge, Mass, and set it up down at the Smithsonian. It's still there. And I was so touched by they had all her videos playing, and they have, all her kitchen tools and everything, just like Paul, her husband, had outlined on the pegboard where everything goes.
Mhm.
And it's all there. And it just was so heartwarming to see this person that I knew and her being celebrated in such an organic way that if you ever get a chance to get to DC, go check out her kitchen at the Smithsonian. Yeah.
One of my favorite picture of all time of Julia in action was at the beginning when she did her show. There was about 3-4 people that were laying down on the ground next to her to hand her the goods. Because you have to remember, when she started, it was a big pioneering story, and she was doing a cooking show, and there was a husband and another couple of people laying on the ground, and you couldn't see
Behind
obviously.
the counter, like if they
Behind
were
the
right
counter,
here,
like right
behind
here.
this-
And they would hand her like she'd be, and then you took me. It was.
I have
this-
that picture, by the way.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous picture, and it's very, to me, it's very endearing to talking about like anybody else's life story. This is the beginning, and then to be what it became, and what a great success story, and what an incredible woman carrying such an important message with her, and she did such an incredible road. She paved the road that was, today there is, millions of woman on the doing cooking shows and highly respected. But back then, it was mostly chefs. There were men in the kitchen.
Our friend Nathan Myhrvold has become
Sure.
famous for cutting kitchen appliances in half,
Right.
so you can see the guts.
Right.
She did it long before he ever did. She had, like her refrigerator and her oven.
Yeah.
It was open in the back so that the producers could hand
Right.
her stuff and put stuff into her oven that she could then reach in and pull out.
This is
So-
funny. Those are great stories to look at
Yeah.
the behind the scene. It's just amazing how they pulled this off together. And of course, then it became a bigger production where she didn't have to do
So
that.
I've seen pictures of you with Julia.
Sure.
What was the occasion
One
of your
in
visit?
I think it's in 1995. I donated a dinner for 16 in the private room at Rovers.
No wonder why you didn't
Wait.
make any money.
There was to benefit the Julia Foundation. Julia was the chair of the. Oh,
AIWF.
thank you for remembering that. And I donated a dinner for 16 at Rovers with Nathan and Julia,
Mm-hmm.
and it sold out in Washington D.C. via an auction for about 40 grand, and the guy who bought it. Allegedly, I was told the story because I wasn't there, but I was told there was two ladies that were fighting at 20,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly one guy went 40,000, and
Took care of that.
he took care of that,
Mhm.
took them out of the competition, and bought the thing. Oh yeah, that's a picture right there. How'd you get that? Jeez.
Hmm.
Huh. Oh, the internet, it's an amazing place. Anyway, that was before I had a hat.
I know
So-
you still had hair.
That's when I had hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was a very interesting evening. And Julia is, no matter what you were, I mean, at least for me, I was always comfortable with her. I never felt threatened or anything. I mean, on the inside, there was butterfly because I'm cooking for this lady, as in the queen of. And of course, it is extremely, you can't help going, I better not screw this up. Because there's only one try and better not mess this up.
But it must be a little interesting. Here you are, a real French chef,
Yeah,
clinically trained, I'll say, in your apprenticeship.
Right.
And here's Julia, who went to the Cordon Bleu at age, 45 or something?
right.
And is back here in the States getting famous cooking French food. Must have been a funny, you had some thoughts about that or not?
I was extremely respectful of her. To me, I was respectful of what she was doing. I mean, she's
She
like
helped
you-
make French
like you
food
said,
famous. Yeah.
She started in a cooking school at 45, and then she comes to America and tried to teach American how to cook French food. I'm like, this is much bigger than anything I've ever thought of. I mean, I never pretend I would teach anybody how to cook, first of all, and second of all, not just that, but on national TV, like trying to teach a whole country how to make the bridge between what we call fancy French food and what we know how to cook at home.
Mhm.
To me, that was a serious endeavor, and I had the utmost respect right off the bat. As soon as I knew about Julia, I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible. I mean, who does that? Who takes? And she was so nonchalant about the whole thing. I was like, whew. I mean, she showed nonchalant. I'm sure there was a moment where she was very nervous, but
Yeah.
she was just an incredible lady. She was really, really. I mean, when I was around her, I never felt nervous. Like I said, as a person, obviously, when I
You
was,
must have felt a little nervous. She
Well,
was.
when I was back in the
she
kitchen,
was
I
6
was
foot
like-
2, and chef, you're about 5'2". So
No, but that's yeah, I know, but felt like I was visiting grandma, but
Yeah.
a very different, in my field.
I'm glad you didn't say that to her.
No, of course not. I'm respectful, but she could be my grandma.
Of course. I had a couple of personal interactions with many over the years, but a couple of ones that really kind of stick out for me are two you've heard before. One is she was down signing books at Sur La Table, and I invited her up for lunch at Edda's. And of course, I've known that she loves crab, so I had this beautiful plump Dungeness crab picked out for her. It was live as could be, and I cooked it all up and served it to her warm, and I had made this beautiful clarified lemon verbena butter for her to dip her crab into, and we were busy. It was summertime. We were busy, and finally I went over to the table and was, hey Julia, how's it going? And she kind of looked around and looked at me and did that index finger like, come closer, come closer. And I'm thinking in my head, oh my God,
Here we go.
what's wrong with the crab? And so the only thing she whispered to me was, Tom, do you have any Hellman's? So what she really wanted to dip her crab into was Hellman's mayonnaise, and not a fancy, not a fancy homemade mayonnaise. So I ran to the grocery store in the Pike Place Market, and I came back. Of course, we had Best Food, same thing,
Yeah.
and got her some mayonnaise for the rest of her crab. She had finished half of it already. She ate crab like a fiend, man. She
Knew how.
put the bib on, and she went with gusto. She didn't leave one bit of crab. And then the second story I remember, I was doing a dinner for her with the Shirley Collins, who owns Sur La Table, and a few other people in the private room at Cafe Sport, which was before Etta's in the same space. That beautiful glassed-in private room.
You must have been nervous like back then.
Of course. And I wasn't actually cooking. I was sitting at the table. I wasn't going to miss a chance to have dinner with Julia.
Even more nervous.
Yeah. And so the team's cooking. They're super nervous. So here we are. And the center is Julia and Paul, her husband, Paul, who was, I would say, probably 10 years older than her and very frail at that point. And so we're sitting there having this multi-course, delicious little dinner with maybe 15 of us. And Paul starts nodding off at the table. He starts falling asleep, and his head keeps dropping, and his food is in there. I keep thinking his head's going to drop into his plate of food. And Julia just kind of nudges him, and he kind of perks up. He didn't wake up. He just kind of moved so he wasn't going to fall anymore. She looked around the table and kind of read the room. We were all looking at Paul, and she says, let's not wake him. And then she takes his plate, and she eats his whole dinner along with hers. Now that's class.
That's very classy.
That's class.
That's
Let's not
class.
wake him.
I don't know that I could have done that, but yes, that's class.
Yeah. Super sweet.
Yeah.
And it's just, I thought, typical of her,
Right.
of making the best of every situation.
Extremely gentle and very well aware, extremely intelligent, and
Yeah, she was probably
very kind.
80. I mean, I have no idea at the top of my head, but I would guess in mid 80s at that point. So,
No, not quite.
I bet there's somewhere 80, 85, something like that. All right. Next up, it's Food for Thought Tasty Trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. And I forgot to mention who's going to win our prize.
Oh, yeah.
If you send me a picture at hotstove.com, right, Sean? Is that right? Hotstove.com. Send me a picture of your favorite Julia Child cookbook in your collection with your face in it. You know what I mean? A picture of you and your favorite Julia Child cookbook. We're going to pick a winner to come for free to the sold-out Julia Child birthday promenade.
So
here
once
at the
again,
Hot
the
Stove.
address is tom@hotstove.com.
No, it's hotstove.com.
Hotstove.com? Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry. Hotstove at tomdouglas.com. Send me a picture with your favorite Julia Child cookbook, and we will pick a winner out of that group to come and join us on August the 15th here at the Hot Stove for the birthday promenade of Julia Child.
All right.
On Camera Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
Just repeat it one more time after the address.
Sean Notori, I'm not sure how you're going to fit that in there, but if you need to take something out, take Sunset Supper out since it's already sold out.
Tom is talking to an editor once we finish to tape the show, it goes to the studio, and there's a guy named Sean Dottore, you hear his name every week, who takes a pair of scissors and cut half of it away.
Not half.
Makes
of
it fit in the box.
He does fix our foibles, though.
Yeah. I'm just kidding when I say half, but thank God he's there because it makes the show fit in the box. Who's going to want to play trivia today? Okay. If you don't show up, I will pick volunteers. That's how you become a volunteer in the army, right? You. Can you shoot? No, the best is you and you. Can you read English? Yes. Okay. Go clean the bathroom. That was the army. Gentlemen, want to pick a seat? Part of the trivia. He's looking at you like,
Well, you said gentlemen. That eliminated a certain.
well, no, because she pointed at him like he wants to go, and he
Who
looks
else
like
is coming up to be our trivia challenger? Come
we
on.
need one more.
Come
on.
on.
Who's coming up to the challenge?
Nobody?
Ginny, where is she?
Okay. Annie Elm. Well, no, you saw the answers.
Craig?
DeRay? Yeah. I always forget how to pronounce your name. Danae.
Danae.
I called you DeRay, but it's Danae. Okay. It's super fun when you lose.
What's your name? Jim. I like Jim. He goes, I get you beat. Don't worry, I lose.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's all yours.
Okay, practice with me right up here next to the microphone. Pull it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull it right up.
Put
Practice.
it down.
Pull it up.
Down. There you go.
Pull it up to your
Beautiful.
mouth.
Hello.
There you go. That's better. Practice
Okay.
with me.
Okay.
There we go. Good.
How
Because
do
it
you
doesn't
s-
sound good on the air if you're standing out here.
How do you
It
spell your
sounds
name?
much better
Dan?
in here.
How do you spell your name?
Danae.
I almost have it.
It's like Renee, but with a D.
Got it.
I cannot remember that to save my life. Maybe after today.
Okay. I'll test you next
You
time.
guys heard the show before? You know what's going on?
Oh, so he's been studying. See, that's not.
Yeah. See, Jim is
Jim
a trickster. He's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's going on here.
Do we get like a life where I get to ask the audience what they?
You can do
No,
whatever you
get
want. This is a
nothing. You get nothing and you'll like it.
Okay, I tried.
I like
See?
I like how you're starting to cheat before you even start. You
This
don't even
one
know
is-
the rules.
This one is so easy. You don't have to worry about it.
Cheat with style.
All right.
All right, it's time for our food for thought tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. They are a selection of spice rubs that we make out at our warehouse in Ballard. Also, we have sauces and mustard and all sorts of deliciousness that help your pantry beam with deliciousness.
Right now it tastes beautiful. The Tokyo rub on my chicken that was grilled outside on the barbecue was wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Nice little.
You know, where our friends in Maui are really suffering right now. And in the
Yes.
next couple of weeks, we're going to do a second Puako chicken pop-up out at the warehouse to raise some money for the Red Cross
I know.
in Maui and especially in Lahaina, which I was looking at the pictures this morning.
Oh my God.
My God.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's
A big,
tragic.
big love and thoughts sending to Maui right now. It's
Yeah.
anything we can do to help. Please let us know.
All right. So hopefully I'll see some of you all down on the 18th at Sunset Supper in the market. I know the tickets are sold out, but we'll be down there making our sausages. We're going to do a Julia Child themed trivia challenge today. And remember, our contest is if you send me a picture to hotstove@tomdouglas.com, a picture of you and your favorite Julia Child cookbook. You can't just send me a picture of a book. It has to be you and your book. So I know you actually own it or went to a bookstore to look at it. And we will put your name in the hat, chef's hat, and we will pull out the winners of 2 tickets for the August 15th Julia Child Promenade here at the Hot Stove. Okay, Chef.
5 questions, and the best of gets 3 rubs to pick out of the shop
For free.
right here.
They don't have to pay. They get 3 free rubs for,
Right.
for
Oh, for free.
participating
Yes, I
today.
forgot to mention.
Except for
free.
Danae. So who do we have at this microphone?
Jim.
Joe?
Jim.
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 Hi, Jim. Welcome. Jim is there. Is got an ace in the hole. His
Yes.
significant other is sitting right behind him. Is going to feed him
And
answers.
she pushed
Chef
it right
and
to the
Danae
mic.
is one of the chefs here at the Hot Stove. She's sitting in because she loves Julia Child. Okay, Chef. Julia trivia. These are short and sweet.
Go ahead.
Where was Julia Child born?
Oh, that's a very good question. Do I know the answer to that?
It's on the West Coast.
I'm going to say close to Washington, D.C. over there.
On the West Coast, Chef.
Oh,
That's
she's
right
born
near
on the West
Washington,
Coast?
D.C.
Well, then I'm wrong.
Yes, you're wrong.
I'm gonna say California.
Pasadena, California.
There you go. That I did not know.
When Julia was a teenager, she traveled to Tijuana on a family vacation and tried what new trendy dish at the time?
I'm gonna say taco.
Taco.
Just a nice little taco. She had a nice little taco out of a truck in Mexico, and that was a big discovery, right?
And 0 for 2. She tried Caesar salad at Caesar Cardini's restaurant,
Oh wow,
which
this
is
is
where
a long
the
time
Caesar
ago.
salad came from. Yeah.
Ooh, I wasn't going back.
I
that
think
far.
tacos happened a little bit before that.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
of course.
Where did Julia attend college? And the little hints here are Sylvia Plath, Nancy Reagan, and Gloria Steinem are also alumni.
It's gotta be in California. I'm hopeless. Okay, never mind.
Smith College.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't Jones College. It was
No, it
Smith
wasn't.
College.
So
What
far, I'm-
branch of you're doing
I'm
great
glad
so
you said it
far.
was great
I'm
and
glad that
easy.
you guys are such personal friends. What branch of service did Julia join during World War II?
The spy side of
The
life.
spy.
She was working in the army for the U.S. Army during World War II, translating messages and doing such thing in the office.
I'll give you that because it was the OSS, the
Correct.
precursor to the CIA, Office
Oh.
of Strategic Services. And your last question, Chef, you're 1 for 4 so far.
Mm-hmm.
During World War II, Julia helped cook up, pardon me, during World War II, Julia helped cook up an invention that is still in use today. And the hint is I sent out a newsletter about the Julia birthday party here, and I talked about it in my newsletter.
I didn't get the newsletter.
What is it? What's her invention?
I'm sure I've heard this before.
Still in use today.
Yep.
You're not going to get there, Chef.
No,
Hate to break it to you.
what is it?
Julia invented an odorous shark repellent that they put on the floating bombs that were intended to blow up German YouTube boats,
What?
but the sharks kept blowing themselves up. So she invented a shark repellent to
Oh, I'm so
save the bombs for their.
so tired of the shark fin soup.
That's why shark fin soup was invented. That's all that was left of the sharks.
that's what it was. You had no idea.
Okay, Jim. After that stunning display of Julia
Jim,
trivia,
I'm sure you don't feel frightened anymore. 1 out of 5. You should do better than that. We're counting on you.
here we go. France wasn't the first country that sparked Julia's love for food. What country was? This was also, she lived there during the early parts of World War II.
Spain.
Close. China.
Oh, that was very,
That was a shot, Jim. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. That was a shot.
that was very close.
Here's an easy one for you, Jim. What cooking school in Paris did Julia attend?
Chef Cordon Bleu.
Yes. Nice job. Winner, winner. Julia dinner. What did Julia cook on her first TV appearance before she had her own show? It was on PBS and it was on a hot plate. The show was called I've Been Reading. My guess is her book had come out, and it's one of Chef Thierry's favorite foods.
It's that meat and pastry wrapper.
Yeah, no, an omelet. It's in an egg wrapper. Meat in an egg wrapper.
I like the meat. I like the meat and the crepe is good. Yeah.
What was the name of Julia's first show on television on PBS?
Bon appetit. Just kidding.
Cooking with Julia.
Close. I'm going to give it to you. The French Chef. And your last question. Wow, I thought this was going to be easy today. Turns out it seems easier when you can read the answers.
Exactly.
And since you're so good about Julia's show, what did Julia cook on episode 1 of her cooking show? The very first show.
An omelet.
Funny, but wrong. This is the dish that my grandmother taught me, and that when I went to Luke, every time I would
Boof.
order it.
Bourguignon.
Can you say that again, Chef, without dying?
Boeuf bourguignon.
Boeuf bourguignon. Correct. So, Jim, you still win some rubs, but you're a bit of a loser today.
No, but Jim, what's funny is you were mocking me at 1. And you're still at 1.
Okay, Danae, are you ready?
Yeah.
Danae.
Yeah, she's nervous
Danae.
now.
Now you feel really good, right?
No.
All you
'cause
have to
I
do,
knew his answers, but I'm sure I don't know mine.
all you have to
Well,
do is
let's
give
see.
1.
Confidence is the name of the game, Danae.
Exactly.
If you don't know, just be loud and dogmatic.
Oh, okay.
What was Julia's sign off at the end of every show? She also, if you ever had a book signed by her, she signed it in her books too.
Bon appetit.
Very good. There's
Bravo.
one for one. During the filming of Baking with Julia, she used 753 pounds of what favorite ingredient?
Apples.
Butter.
Oh.
She loved her butter, didn't she?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. All right. What's special about Julia's home kitchen? Now, I told you at the Smithsonian they have her pegboards up on the wall, so we're not going to talk about that. But her kitchen was unique because she was such a
Tall person.
don't know.
No.
She had all of her kitchen countertops designed at 38 inches so that
Oh, yes.
they were tall enough for her.
Normally it's 32.
Right.
6 inch taller.
All right. Here's one you should get if you've been listening to our show. To what institution did Julia donate her Cambridge, Massachusetts kitchen?
I don't know. I was cooking.
Oh, that's a
Oh.
lame excuse. The Smithsonian.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You even heard that in the back here. And this is your last question here. In 1993, Julia Child was the first woman to be inducted into what organization? You're not going to know this. Terry made, I talked about it when Terry was talking earlier.
AIWF.
The American Institute of Wine and Food.
Oh,
She was
okay.
the first chairman.
She was
of
actually the chair for
that. for a
Oh.
bit. Right when they started, they had to have her. Well, thank you, Danae, for
1. We all did 1. This is what's called easy on our
thank
show.
you, Jim. Have fun shopping for your 3 free rubs in the gift shop after the show. You're listening to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by my whole team here at Tom Douglas, including Sean McFadden, our technical director, and it's edited by Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre at the Cairo Studios. Let's see. Remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening and have a great weekend.
And happy birthday, Julia.
Happy birthday.